Good evening, my name is Paul Aubin and I live here in Cornwall, and my question is for Mr. McDonnell and Mr. McDonald with regards to the earlier question this evening concerning P3s in the health system. Now, when Ms. McDonald and Mr. Donnelly answered the question, I did hear the word no in their responses, albeit for vastly different reasons. But you, Mr. McDonald, nor you, Mr. McDonnell, seemed to do that. You gave some very roundabout answers without actually answering the question forthcomingly. So I would like a simple one-word answer. I don't want anything long-winded. I don't want anything roundabout. I want a simple yes or no. And I will sell for nothing less, and neither will anyone else for that matter, I would assume. Yes or no. Do you support having P3s in Ontario's healthcare system? A simple yes or no, please. Thank you.
I guess I just want to go over the rules first, so we have 2 minutes to talk. Okay.
Hey, I only wanted yes or no.
I guess the answer is not simple. And I'm just going to go back to an example in Hawkesbury, not very far from here. They built a hospital, and it was privately run. It was an experiment done by a previous government. It wasn't the Harris government before that. I was involved. It was sometime around 83, 85. They took surveys of the services and from the patients. Patients were very pleased with it. They had a higher satisfaction rate than any other hospital in the province. The NDP government came in, closed it, that service, moved it over to public hands. If you go back there today, you would not receive the same service satisfaction from those people. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I think that you want a government that thinks about things and is willing to make the tough decisions, and where it makes sense, you do it.
So is your answer maybe?
Yes.
With all due respect, Paul, I mean, you ask like a 2-minute question, and then you're dictating how we're going to answer it. And I say with all due respect, and my answer is no.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you know, it's important also to remember that who would be in favor of the pay-as-you-go system? I mean, who would be in favor of that? Oh, the Conservatives. So, I mean, I think it's a real important issue. I'm fundamentally opposed to it. I say no, I'm not in favor of it. And I think that it's a clear choice that people are going to have to make with respect to both parties as we move through the election. Because you've got one party talking about a $14 billion, you know, with $14 billion hole in their platform, and you know where the cuts come, Paul. And I want a yes or no answer. Do you know where they come from?
I'm not running.
Yes or no? Do you know the answer? Well, they come from healthcare. And when they talk about maybes, and that's where they're going to have a system of pay as you go.
Thank you.
Here's our last question, and then we'll have the 2-minute wrap-up from each candidate after they answer the question.
Thank you. My name is Darlene Gilbert, and I am a full-time United Steelworkers staff rep, and I thought being tonight was hosted by the Labour Council, we should perhaps have at least one question directed for Labour. My question is going to be directed at Jim, but I would like to have everybody else's answer, but I do feel he's the biggest threat for Labour right now, or at least the Conservatives are. So my question is this. We sat back and we watched the Conservatives join with the Liberals and force the university professors back to work along with other workers. We saw it again in Toronto with the TTC workers, forcing them back to work and taking away their right to strike. It would seem to people like me and others that are watching Labour what's going on, that you're trying to make all government services essential services, taking away the right to strike. So if the time comes, are you going to support essential service legislation?
Well, it's not an easy answer. I guess the answer is very clearly though. If we're talking about a service that we can't afford to be without, it's an essential service. Many people that work for the government have the benefit, extra benefits of not being laid off, of not having an arbitration system there that of course we're saying will change. And yes, if it's going to affect the government or and inconvenience the public people that pay the wages, yes, we would have to do that. We would support the back to work legislation, as all parties have over the years. And one of our platforms with labor laws, we've seen some of the changes over the last number of years, and we're going to put some legislation in to make it fair for both of the union members and the public. And one is secret ballot voting. We feel that's a minimum required for a democracy. I have a hard time believing that in this country that is not a right in the union membership. We will make it a right. Just as it's a right on October the 6th. People have the right to vote the way they want without undue pressure and without everybody knowing how they vote. It's a basic right in a democracy.
Well, I'd like to mention a few labor facts as well. It seems to me that when the government is anxious to declare services, essential services, they don't want to do it where they build in an arbitration system that the workers would have satisfaction in their negotiating through if they can't get it through the negotiating. Like, it's a very one-sided process, and it seems to be designed to shut down the workers' process, which is blatantly unfair. And I have to say that right now in Cornwall there is a strike going on. 98% of public sector contracts across the province are settled without strikes. But every now and then a situation becomes intolerable, and it's right that workers have the right to withdraw their labor in the interest of gaining justice. And I have to say that college workers, who are the ones who are on strike, and healthcare workers, I mean, you heard what Geraldine had to say earlier, it seems to me that in these sectors, people are actually subsidizing the system. When they are working harder and longer, but not making more money, and not even able to take a day off, having to work maybe an extra 4 hours because there's nobody to come in and spell them off after a 12-hour shift, this is exploiting people. And our governments are pretty good at exploiting people. This is in the public sector. So I have to say that unions are really the way that the Canadian middle class became what it is. And its unions have a strong job to do to protect what they've gained. And I think we all have to give them every support we can, because it enriches all of us.